All right, everybody, welcome to our Community Connect series. I'm Kinda Blumberg, and along with Rachel Hart, we are Reconnected to Life. And we believe that when you practice what we call the 4 C's of self-care, which is eating well, sleeping well, exercise, and meditation, you are better able to achieve your personal goals, foster more meaningful relationships, and reconnect with your community. We believe that when you practice self-care, that you become self-centered, and self-centered a lot of times gets a bad rap. People think of it as a really negative thing, that you're self-centered or selfish, and we actually believe it's the opposite. When you fill your cup and you take care of yourself first, you're able to take care of other people. So we are educating what it means to be self-centered, and practicing the 4 C's of self-care. Today, I've got a guest with me, John Wallace Youngblood, and he is going to share his story of overcoming addiction and his journey, his self-care journey and self-love journey, and how he has just over time and practicing the 4 C's of self-care, and I'm sure other things which we'll get into, how he's become a really healthy individual and just is really living the life of his dreams. So it's a really great story. And John, we welcome you.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Cool. Well, I've known you for a few years now. I met you at Sharky's Swim and Scuba Academy, and many years and many moons ago, I became certified in scuba diving. And so it was fun to kind of see, like, here in Georgia, because I think a lot of times people don't think about scuba diving when they think of in Georgia. You know, they don't think of scuba diving. I grew up in South Florida, so that's where I became certified and was able to, you know, get out there and dive in the ocean and stuff. So it's cool that you're right here in Smyrna at Sharky's and teaching people how to scuba dive. Even kids. I might let you talk about that too, about kids, because that's really cool. What age you start them? My oldest son, I think he was 15 at the time he got certified. So I have a love for the ocean. My family does. We're kind of like beach, ocean, water people. So it's been great to get to know you over the years, and you shared your story. And so let's just start right there. Tell me your story.
Okay. So I think it started about 10 years ago. Oh, sorry for that. The
No, it's
dog's in
okay.
the background.
Doggy.
Yeah.
That's all
I think
right.
it started about 10 years ago, and I, had recently graduated from school, and I was, I wasn't in the career path that I wanted to be in. I had gone and gotten this whole degree and still didn't really have the job that I wanted. And it was, I guess, that was part of what was I was a lost person is what I'm trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
And I, kind of slowly slipped into, using alcohol as a crutch over the course of, I'd say maybe a year or so. It really snuck up on me, and you don't really realize what's going on until it's kind of too late at that point. But I was using it as sort of a coping mechanism, to help me sleep at night, because I had all these thoughts that and anxieties about things that were kind of out of my control. Some of them were in my control, this, that, and the other. And then all of a sudden one day, I realized that I had a problem and didn't really know how to go about dealing with the problem. So even though I wanted to give it up for a long time before I did, it was difficult to find the correct method. So, I moved back home to live with my dad, thinking that would help. But unfortunately, I got a job out there that was, again, sort of frustrating. And, I just didn't have the people around me that I needed that were equipped to help me with what I was dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of other reasons that we could go into for why people get addicted to things, and a lot of it stems from what happens in your childhood and stuff like that. But I don't think we have enough time for all that. So, anyways, I remember really distinctly. I knew that I loved the water, and I knew that I wanted to do something scuba related. Because we had gone on a trip down to the Caymans, and I met a dive master there, and I was like, so wait a minute, let me get this straight. You get paid to just take people scuba diving all the time? He was like, yep, that's what I do. And I said, okay, that sounds like the thing for me. So even though, I still hadn't dealt with my problem, I had found my passion, which I think was really sort of the first step in learning to love myself, because getting up and enjoying what you do every day, I think, is a major part of your overall happiness, your overall joy, your overall filling your cup, as you say.
Yeah.
So
Well, let me just
I
stop you
moved.
right there. Let me just stop you right there for a second, because you said a few key things that I just want to touch on. You talked about you went to school, and I think you graduated UGA, was it?
That's right.
And so you weren't quite on the path that obviously there wasn't a passion there for what you went to school for and what you got your degree in, which I think happens to a lot of people. You kind of set out on this path and you think you're supposed to have all the answers, and we're really kind of conditioned for that. That's kind of one of the things that I just wanted to touch on there. We're really conditioned that we graduate high school, we go to college, and we're supposed to be on a career path and have all the answers and know what we want to do the rest of our lives. And guess what? The majority of people that I know, that's not the case,
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And so, so you talked about going to Mexico and really kind of something igniting within you, and you found a passion to follow.
Right.
So, I think that that's a great point for people to really kind of take note of, is to follow your passion. And perhaps what happens when you don't follow your passion, that, kind of you do feel lost, I believe is what you said. And we can really, I think pretty much everybody at some point along the way, experiences that and kind of has to find their way back. So it sounds like that was kind of a turning point for you. What was the turning point for you? Was it finding that passion?
I think so. I think that, well, I think it's a combination of finding my passion and then finding the right people, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Whatever you believe in, may or may not have put me in the right place at the right time with the right people, I think. And that's really where it started, because I'd found my passion. And when I got back to the United States, I got a phone call from the guys over at Sharky's, and it was the owner, and he said he wanted a right-hand man to come in and build a scuba program. And I was like, okay, sign me up. And when I got there, it didn't take them very long to figure out that I had an issue. But instead of saying, okay, well, we don't need this guy, like probably I would have done, they decided that they wanted to help me. And it stemmed from their experience in the past with something very similar, and they knew that they had the capability of helping me, and they wanted to try to help me, because they have these enormous hearts, to help people. And to this day, I don't understand. I couldn't possibly imagine undertaking what they decided to undertake when they did that, because I had broken burned every bridge that I know. I was sleeping in my brother's house, and he had caught on to the problem, and I just knew that I didn't have anywhere else to go. I was at the end. There was nowhere else to sleep at night. And these people offered me their home, which was crazy because it was, at the time they lived in a tiny little house that they were renting, and there were and they were already helping someone else out too. So there were a bunch of us all living in that house. And basically what happened was, when they figured it out, they just said, "Do you have a problem?" And I think that they were maybe the third people I had admitted that to, maybe the second, because I remember distinctly the moment that I realized I had a problem was because I told my roommate that I had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, they said that they would take me in. They would help me. They would help me deal with what I was going through, because they knew what it was about to, what it was about to entail.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when they confronted me about it, I'll never forget, we were in the kitchen of that tiny house, and I had brought home a 6-pack of beer, and, Jess just kind of looked at me and goes, "So what's the deal, man? You drink like every night?" And then I was kind of like, "Yeah, kind of." She's like, "So you think you got a problem?" And then instead of, for some reason, to these people, maybe it was because I knew that if I screwed this up, that, my dream was going to go down the toilet. I'm not really sure, but but again, maybe right place, right time, right people. And I just kind of looked at them and I was like, "Yep, I sure do have a problem." And I knew that I wanted help, and so for the next 3 months, I slept on the floor, but I was with people that were watching out for me, and you know, I couldn't, like, go by the package store, and without them knowing about it. Not that, at that point I really wanted to give it up, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that, a lot of people don't understand how difficult it actually is, just physically,
Yeah.
you know. But they taught me that, it's not, you can't really think about how oh, can I never take a drink again, because that's too big. It's too big of a
Mm-hmm.
goal. You
Yeah.
have to take it in bite-sized chunks, and it started hour by hour. And then, when I could go hour by hour and then forget about it for about an hour, then it started to go day by day. And all I had to do was make sure that I got home, and as long as I got home, I wouldn't go back out and go get a bottle of liquor or whatever. And so that's just how it started.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I learned a really valuable lesson in consistency and determination, which I think are two of the major things that you have to have in order to be healthy. But the thing is that you don't have to have a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I learned that is because all you have to do is commit a little bit at a time.
Mm.
So I learned how to commit a little bit at a time because I had to give up alcohol a little bit at a time. So I had to learn to say no in increments and be consistent with that decision over and over and over again. First, it was hour by hour, then it was day by day. Then it got to the point where it was every week. Felt good, you know?
Okay,
And
so
then,
I just got to stop you right there, because I think you hit on something that I really want people to, like, stop for a moment and really hear what you just said. Because I think whether it's overcoming addiction, um, any goal really that you want to, becoming healthier in any way, whether it's body or mind, whether it's overcoming a disease or losing weight or, heart disease, whatever it is that little by little, just tiny little
Yeah.
increments. Start where you are. And that's one of the things that we talk about all the time, is just start where you are and take that first step. You don't have to see all the way to the end. And that's
Exactly.
what stops people a lot of times, is that, you know, if they think about the entirety of what they're trying to do, like getting from here all the way to there, how am I going to do that? That's what stops a lot of people. And so I think what you said is such a great point that really I want people to really hear, is that you said hour by hour, day by day, week by week, you know, that's where you started. And so once you took that first step, you had the awareness, you said, yeah, like I have a problem with alcohol, you know, and yes, I want help. And I think the other thing you said that was great was, you know, right time, right place, right people, you know, which goes back to, you know, kind of having that support network in place, creating a village. We talk a lot about creating a village, because we all need people. We all need each other, and we all need people. We need our tribe, our village, our people that are going to look out for us. So I don't think it's any coincidence that, you know, you ended up in Mexico and then you get a phone call and you're right there in the place that you were. To go to kind of get on that path. You needed that help, and you wanted it. You had that passion ignited within you, and boom, there it just puts you on that trajectory. So I think that's an amazing story, and great place to, you know, so what happened from there? So you started to get off of alcohol, and tell me what happened from there. How did that snowball and lead you to the next step?
So I'll never forget the very last day that I took a drink, right? Because I was at my dad's house, and you know, he smelled it on me, and he said, you know, John, do you have a problem? And I told him that I did. And so the next day we drove around to rehab facilities, and I was so embarrassed that I didn't even want to get out of the car. So, you know, there are a lot of people that go through the rehab process, and it is an effective process. You know, it really, it helps a lot of people. Um, I had, you know, like you said, the people around you, the support group, that's really, you know, you make a good point that I wanted to iterate as well. You know, I didn't do it alone. And I think that is, you know, very, very important. And the thing is that you have to ask for help a lot of the time. And, you know, people are scared or are worried that they're going to disappoint someone or whatever. And I didn't have that. So then these people who had already, you know, been through the process of helping someone learn to be healthy helped me along the way by teaching me things that, you know, I didn't understand at the time. So, you know, they were getting up at 8 a.m. and going to the gym and all of this stuff. And at the time, because my body was in the place that it was, you know, I was like, you know, screw that. I'm never doing that, this, that, and the other, right? But little nuggets of wisdom along the way, I think, is what really, and again, that's just something that comes with time and consistency. You know, I had given up a major source of poison for my own body, and then I started to lose weight because, you know, I wasn't consuming as much alcohol, and then, you know, one day I'll I'll probably never forget this moment either. We, me and the two people, the owners of Sharky's that took me in, we all flew to Vegas, and we were there for a big scuba convention. And I remember stepping on the scale uh, in the hotel room just to see, because I never stepped on the scale, and I was like, wow, you know, since I've given up alcohol, you know, I have lost a ton of weight. I think I went from like 230 pounds down to, you know, about 180. And I
Wow.
said, you know what? I'm already doing this to be healthy. I used to love going to the gym and all that. Why don't, I'm going to get in the gym. Right. And that was the time, that's where I made the decision to start. Right. And, of course you go and get the gym membership and it's a little awkward. Like you don't know how to use a lot of the machines or whatever. But, you know, I remember a buddy of mine saying, "Hey man, you can do anything that you want. All it takes is a little bit of consistency." And, truer words have never been spoken, I don't think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that the hardest part for most people, I think that as long as you can get your shoes on, your running shoes, I think if you get your shoes on and you get in the building, right? I think that that is like 90% of it. Because once you're there, you're there, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I would do. Again, because I had learned that if I just made it home without stopping at the liquor store, I was going to be okay for the night. I knew that if I made it to the gym, I was at least going to spend some time doing something, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And then I started to, and, as an addict, we're constantly seeking ways of making ourselves feel better, I think. And you get endorphins that flow, when you do physical activity like running and lifting weights and stuff. And I was, you know, and maybe it's because I'm a little more sensitive to it, right? But that was sort of, where I started to get my fix, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but it not only became, it wasn't about necessarily the feeling that it gave me so much as it was about what it did to me overall, as far as, like when I would go on a 45-minute run, I could deal with so much stress during that run because all you've got is the sound of your feet hitting the treadmill or the pavement, some music in your ears, hopefully, which, by the way, if you're not running with music in your ears, you should be. Because
You're
it
not doing
is,
it right, huh?
yeah, you're not doing it right because it's scientifically proven you even run faster when you're listening to music. So, you know, it started to become this very relaxing thing. And I think that's where it really started to, that was sort of the tipping point as far as like, okay, not only am I enjoying being healthy, now I kind of want to make sure that, you know, I can preserve this or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, you know, I also started to notice that I started sleeping better. And then it was like, okay, I feel, because I can deal with all that stress and all of the things of the day on that run, I feel better overall about everything that's going on around me. And then, it started to really become me time. And I used, and it became this thing that I did because I so enjoyed taking care of myself, right? Self-care. And I made it a priority. That was kind of the next step where, okay, now not only am I going to do this, I'm going to make sure that I do it. I'm not going to let excuses get in the way. And, even if it meant, if I got off work late at night, it didn't matter. I wanted to go and do it because it made me feel good about myself. Hey, even if I didn't accomplish anything else today, at least I took care of me.
Yeah.
Right. And, I spent a lot of time not taking care of me. So I kind of feel like I almost owe it to myself a little bit. But, then I started to see results and other people started noticing results. And, like I said, all of it was, a lot it was about me because I wanted to do it. And it wasn't about, you know, looking good for anybody else. It wasn't about, I want to be this bodybuilder with, I want to be, compete in competition, none of that stuff. It was just about the fact that I got so much out of it
Mm-hmm.
by going and taking care of myself. And, I feel like, that's where it really became a habit. And that's where, and, people don't realize that it only takes, 60 days or something like that to form a habit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
again, I learned from having to give up alcohol that, oh, well, because after, I think it was, I remember it was actually probably more like 90 days when it started to get easier with the
Mm-hmm.
alcohol,
Yeah.
right? But even if it takes 90 days, okay, even if it takes 3 months to form a habit, I mean, all you have to do is show up 3 times a week. You show up, right? And make sure that that's a priority, that you do that.
Yeah.
And then I think really it starts to go downhill from there. Like, it just kind of gains momentum, and you're just like, you
Mm-hmm.
know what? I see results, and I feel better about everything. You know what? I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to start eating clean. And, I'm going to get rid of all the, fluff. I'm not going to have those refined sugars, like, I'm not going to lie. I cheat and have, like a Coke every now and then. Right. But,
Well, hey, there's things in balance, so we all have our thing. But yeah, I love, you said you started working out and then you started sleeping better. And then
Mhm.
once you started sleeping better, you said, oh, okay, I feel great. And then you looked at your diets. And I know that I don't know how long you've been eating plant-based, but I believe are you vegetarian or vegan? Tell me a little bit how that kind of progressed then.
So I'm not religious about the diet necessarily, but so uh, okay, so there's a history of heart disease in my family,
Mm-hmm.
right? And uh, my mom passed in April, and it was there. It was she. There were complications with her heart, right? And she was not that old, if you ask me. And it was eerie because she died in the same hospital that her mom did at the same age that her mom did, which was
Mm.
60. And so
You said 60?
60, correct.
Yeah. Yeah, that is young.
It's young, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, my uncle had a stroke at, I want to say, like 40, you know, and uh, I'd like to have more years than that
Mm-hmm.
on this planet, because I like it here, you
Yeah.
know. But so, uh, just for the sheer cardiovascular effects alone in giving up, a lot of fatty stuff, that was pretty much it. I was just like, you know, I don't want to have heart problems. I'm going to change my diet and see where it goes. And I'll be honest, I really feel like, uh, I cut out dairy and cheese, and I really think that was my biggest killer, just because I love cheese,
Yeah.
you know.
Cheese is a big problem for a lot
But
of people. A lot of people love their cheese.
yeah, it was tough, but I can say without a doubt that if I do eat cheese, the next the next time I go and exercise, I will feel it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so I think that was my biggest killer. And I would say that, overall, I really feel like I have a lot more endurance, um, on the treadmill and in the weight room. Um, Now, I'm still getting protein. I still take a protein supplement, but I think that there's you talked about, one of the four things that, is important is your diet. Well, it is, because, if it's like, if you always put premium gasoline in a car,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to
Yes.
run a lot better than if you're, putting gasoline that's been sitting for 20 years, right?
Yeah. Yes.
and that's, you know, and that was just, so that was just something that I sort of adopted. And I hope that it's doing me some good cardiovascularly, because, you know, my grandfather died at a young age. I think he was like 62 or something like that. And, you know, I don't really want to go out that young. And having already done a lot of damage, I'm sure, to, you know, yeah, my liver and, you know, other organs, probably my kidneys, uh, I want to do my best to get as much out of, as much time as I can, because I feel like the more time that you have, the more chances you get to make a positive impact on, on other people. And really, if you think about it, the people that are immortal, the people that lived forever, are the people that are written down in, books that had huge impacts on like the world around them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's where I want to be. That's where I'm at now. Like I want to know. I I think that everybody finds their niche eventually, and that's where they make the most impact on the world. But I think it takes a journey to get there.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm at, in that, like you said, I learned how to love myself. And sometimes that did take telling other people no, and being like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they might be a little upset, but right now it is about me.
Yeah.
Because, and it has to be. And that's the way, and that was something that you know, the owners over at Sharky's had taught me, like, dude, it's okay to disappoint people when you're taking care of yourself, because as it's not about being selfish. It's about you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to end up right back where you were,
Yeah.
you know? And so if you look at the difference, when I wasn't taking care of myself, I wasn't making a positive impact on anyone's life. No one, right? And now, now that I'm taking care of myself, and I love what I do, I get to go to work and teach the youth of America. I mean, obviously, like how to swim and how to scuba dive, sure. But what people don't really realize, I don't think, is how much a coach impacts a child's life.
Mm-hmm.
I can still hear my high school, wrestling and football coaches giving me life lessons, little nuggets of wisdom along the way, you know. And when I started at Sharky's, you can ask anybody. I wasn't quite as uh, you know cheerful and happy as I am now, and that, I think, was reflected in the way that I taught.
Mm-hmm.
And so any chance I get, I love to tell kids things that are going to apply later on in life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, like they come in and they've got like a scrape on their knee, and they're upset about it. And I'll just ask them, okay, you fell down, but did you get back up?
Mm-hmm.
And when they say yes, I say, okay, well, that's all that matters. And like, hopefully later on, they'll hear that again and they'll go, oh, okay, you know,
Yeah.
Coach John was trying to tell me something else too, you know.
Yeah.
But like you said, until I learned how to take care of me, and you talk about meditation. Now
Yes.
I would say that there are probably other, like, when people think about meditation in the traditional sense,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yes.
whatever people do, I don't know, light candles,
People
do
have a lot
yoga,
of
whatever,
crazy
but
ideas
I
about
think that,
meditation.
yeah, but I think that meditation can be a very personal thing that doesn't have to be in the traditional way.
Mm-hmm.
My meditation personally is a long run, or sitting down and playing my guitar, right?
Yes.
Just something that you find peace and can turn off, all the anxiety and the thoughts of the day,
Yeah.
which is,
Bingo.
again, why I was choosing to drink in the first place, was because I didn't have a healthy way to deal with, all of the things that stress us out as adults,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or, things that happened in my childhood that, I was still processing or whatever.
Yeah.
So
So, yeah, so perfect what you just said, because a lot of people do have a lot of ideas about meditation. They think it's, you got to sit in a lotus position and chant, or, or somehow turn off all your thoughts, or just a lot of ideas, or that it's a religious thing, or, a spiritual thing. And it can be for some people, but really it's just about sitting and being still, um, and being in the present moment. And what first reminded me of meditation, what I was going to say at some point when you were talking about running, how you just like all you could hear was like your feet hitting the treadmill, you're listening to your music. And so it's really, meditation is kind of anything you lose yourself in, where you lose all sense of time, and you're just like so like into that moment. You are present with where you're at and what's going on. And that's really where the enjoyment of life is. And I think you've said that in so many ways today. It's been really amazing. So yeah, I think that's a lot of people just get these ideas of, oh, I can't meditate, or I've tried it. Well, it's if we really have to kind of dig into our beliefs about what it is, because a lot of times our beliefs about a thing is what makes us stop, and caused us to be, closed-minded or not as open-minded about a thing when we believe a certain thing without really experiencing that in our way. And also we think that, well, everybody, you have to meditate this way. And you just said a moment ago, and I think, it's just so perfectly true, is that it's your way. You find your individual path and your way to all of these things, which is what you're doing. It's what you've done and what you're doing, whether it was meditation or exercise or changing your diet the way that you have. So yeah, that's just perfect. It's right on with meditation. Start where you are, even if it's 1 minute or 2 minutes a day, 2 minutes a day, start there, sit, take a deep breath. Most people don't even realize how they're breathing shallow and how they're like all tensed up, and just don't know what it feels like to just take a deep breath and just sit with themselves. It's really hard to sit with ourselves, especially when you're going through a lot of the things that you went through, and that's why we turn to alcohol or whatever it is, drugs, alcohol, it's a lot of things for a lot of people, is because sometimes it's really hard to sit with ourselves. And if
yeah.
have those healthy tools, we really can't, so amazing. And I think you're a great coach, and I love like just watching you teach the kids and scuba and everything else. And I think you're right on. Like, coaching is extremely rewarding. Working with kids is extremely rewarding, because you're planting some small seed in there, that who knows what it's going to grow into. So,
Yeah.
and especially like opening up that world, that underwater world is amazing for anybody who has not ever gone scuba diving. I highly recommend it. I mean, there's nothing that makes you more present than when you're underwater with a tank on your back, or even not. For some people, a lot of people snorkel and can really dive deep and hold their breath for a long time and do all of that, which I can't do. Haven't tried to do, but scuba diving it's just opens up a whole new world. And really, you just never know how you're going to impact somebody you teach to scuba dive, and they go under the water, and like what that's going to open up or do for them.
Yeah, that is definitely my happy place. And the funny thing is that I kind of joke with people, but the truth is it's silent, right? You hear something, you hear noise all day long, whether you realize it or not. There's cars going by, you can hear the refrigerator running. There are all sorts of noises that, even if you live way out in the middle of nowhere, you hear an engine running on your way home. You hear the buzz of the light bulbs. you know, whether you realize it or not, you hear all of those things. But underwater, it's truly silent. Well, actually, that's not entirely true, but
Mostly.
mostly silent. Yeah.
Yes. Unless you're hearing like the fish like eating the coral or something like that, which is cool because it really opens up your other senses. I think, you know, when you kind of like you said, like we're bombarded with noises and so many distractions and so much all the time, you know, so it's like you get underwater and you don't have all of those things, and it kind of opens up your other senses and you really feel very alive.
It's a form of meditation, if you ask me.
I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Definitely in my experience. It's been far too long. I've told you before, I'll tell you again that I definitely want to go on a trip with you and, you know, experience that again, whether it's Crystal River with the manatees or on an island trip. I know you guys do a lot of different trips. So, this has been an amazing conversation. I probably could sit and talk to you for another hour at least. But is there anything that I didn't touch on today that you want to touch on that you think is crucial?
I just, you know, the main points are, first of all, you can do it because I did, and I didn't think it was, you know, it's like there's no hope. But you know, again, a little bit of consistency is all it takes, and a goal. You know, attainable goals are important, and that little bit of determination to just say, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and I don't care what it takes. You know, I'm gonna do it. Um, and then, you know, like you say, once you learn to love yourself, you can really do a lot of, you know, healthy things for other people too. Um, and then, you know, I think those are the, you know, just the main points. Just a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of determination and consistency is really all it takes,
Yeah.
and
And that
you can do
self-love,
it.
like you said, yeah. You can't think about anybody else when you're not healthy yourself. You can't. You don't have the capacity. You don't have the, you know, the wherewithal. So when you start taking care of yourself, and that's what happened on your journey, you took care of yourself, and as you took care of yourself more and more, then you know, were like, hey, well, I can actually have an effect on the world, and I get to do this. This is a job that I get to do, you know,
Yeah.
and to be grateful for that, and really, you know, kind of to have a new lease on life, like where that you're really alive and really enjoying it. So awesome. Thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. I think it's going to impact a lot of people and appreciate it. So I really
Well, I
want
hope
to,
so.
yeah, definitely. Tell me about what you got going on at Sharky's. Like, what do you guys, I know we have COVID and people aren't really much, but, you know, do you guys, I'm sure you're still doing scuba classes, and, you know, at some point people are going to be able to travel again. So what do you got going on?
Yeah, so we're still doing scuba classes. You know, we're taking precautions. We've got a scuba trip in. We're actually going to go to Crystal River twice this year. Well, I guess not this year, but this season.
Okay.
We're going to go on. Ooh, off the top of my head, I can't remember, but we're going to go once in November, and then we're going to go again on Martin Luther King weekend in January to see the manatees, go scuba diving, and all that. Hopefully, there'll be some, you know, people that want to go just to have fun, and hopefully there will be some people there that want to, you know, pursue some certifications, because that's, you know, hey, it's what I like to do, right?
Yeah. Awesome.
Um,
Yeah. So how can people get in touch with you to book that trip or book scuba dive certification? You want to just give a shout out to the website or how they should get in touch with you? And I can always put it up on our social media and stuff too.
yep. So the website's the best way to do it. Sharky Swim and Scuba Academy.com. If you just Google Sharky Swim and Scuba, you know, it'll come right up, and you can go in right there. You can book a class. You can pay for it right there online. And then basically once that, I'll get an email that's got your phone number in it, and I give you a call pretty much immediately and say, okay, hey, here's the next step. Welcome to the world of blowing bubbles underwater. It's going to be fun.
Awesome. That's great. Well, hang with me a second. I'm going to run through the events that we have coming up, and I hope I remember them all, but I'm going to give it a go. So we have our next, so this will be posted tomorrow night, and then we will have our next Community Connects on November 1st is the date, and I'm going to throw out more details about that. We have an event coming up special, but I'll throw out some more details about that coming up here in the next week or two. We have on November 1st, we're going to start our next self-care challenge. It's a 30-day challenge. You can go onto our website, reconnectedtolife.com, and register for that. That goes up on our Instagram and Facebook page. We post every day. I'm not going to tell you yet what it's going to be. The 30-day the first one we did was a 30-day self-care challenge. So we're going to do a little spin-off and do something a little bit different for this next 30-day challenge, but that's going to start on November 1st. November 15th, we have our Connect Ed workshop. That's the 4 Seeds of Self-Care and Gratitude workshop. That'll be at the Smyrna Community Center on Sunday, November 15th from 1 to 3. Then we have our Reconnect retreat. That's on December 11th in Canton, Georgia. It's a Friday, and that is from 9 to 4. It's a full day retreat where we practice all 4 Seeds of Self-Care. I cook delicious food for everybody. We move our bodies. We, again, we practice 4 Seeds of Self-Care. We'll probably go for a hike, do yoga, some breath work and meditation, and some journaling and stuff like that. Dive in a little bit deeper to the 4 Seeds of Self-Care. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but anyway, it'll be all on our website. So that's all I got. So it's been great having you on. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'll see you at Sharky's.
Okay, see you there. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Take care. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. All right, I'm going to hit end. The recording. One second.